We're trying something a little bit different today. We're we're not holding the cup, but we are in a very awkward and weird position, which hopefully this sounds okay. Please let me know if it's not. But yeah. Today we have some horror stories. So we're gonna be looking at some because we've been skipping over them the past few days on vacation. Or the past few streams. So yeah, I figured it might be nice to look at some of those, because while I do love science fiction, I also am a huge fan of horror. I love horror stuff. So yeah, if we have a chance to read some actually good, well-written horror stories, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. But please give me notes on my sound. Anything I can do to make it a little bit better with what I can do, it'd be very much appreciated. I will keep an eye on chat as I narrate. Okay. Let me actually mess with the positioning of this. Okay. The Circle of Mundus. The Failure. Aiden was a 14-year-old idiot. DJ kept repeating this to himself as he trudged through the long, abandoned Berkeley streets. Back before they came was the right time to be stupid, with the world having gone to shit. There just wasn't room for that sort of thing anymore. I could just go back. I shouldn't have to stoop to a stupid level. What was he thinking? DJ missed when Aiden was 12. Aiden found himself hungry and afraid at IKEA Town a couple of years back. He was the sole survivor of a ruthless attack that slaughtered what remained of his original family. While he never adopted him per se, DJ did look out for him, like a mentor. Like some sort of screwed up apocalyptic youth counselor, where it counted though, they had become brothers. As he slinked between buildings, DJ wondered if the kid would have taken less risk without his guidance and reputation. Should have left well enough alone. I wouldn't be doing this shit right now. The teenager had watched DJ bust his ass for IKEA Town over the past couple of years. In fact, DJ often complained to Aiden that the only reason the compound was still kicking was because he was personally carrying it on his back. DJ was the guy to go to if something needed doing, or supplies needed procuring ASAP. For better or worse, that mentality must have rubbed off on Aiden. He wanted to be needed as much as DJ was. Last night, word got around that one of the freezers containing the bulk Swedish meatballs went out. A good chunk of them went bad. Aiden had some technical know-how. He said that he knew he could fix it so long as he had the part. DJ tried to reason with the kid. Any place with a freezer around IKEA Town had been picked clean for months. There was no point in checking. Stubborn little guy. Clearly, Aiden didn't listen since the message he left behind mentioned a chevron outside the perimeter that they hadn't scoped out. Sure, he left a note for accountability, but going against his wishes and going alone. He was biting off more than he could chew. I can find it. I'll make you proud, Deej. Aiden wasn't the one who needed to be the hero. There were good reasons for someone, let alone a kid, not to venture from the compound. They could be out hunting anywhere. The Oakland A's or the Raiders' vestiges being out on their patrols could be a death sentence if he wasn't careful. A swift end could come from anywhere. DJ was fuming. It very well could be both of them dead, he thought. For someone so smart, Aiden sure didn't think things through very well. All DJ could hope was that his not-so-little brother got lucky out there. The journey to Chevron itself was uneventful. The street remained quiet. DJ ensured that he remained light on his feet. Sound meant death if picked up by the wrong ears. It's one of the first unwritten rules. Aiden should have known that too, but DJ Long suspected the youth only half listened to anything he said. He probably missed the keep hearing sharp rule too. And as this event proved, the do as I say rule. As DJ got the gas station in his view, he looked for the signs of life. Open doors, smashed windows, dipshit teens. It was with horror that he found the Chevron was pretty clean, all things considered. Alarm bells sounded in DJ's head. He knew a honeypot when he saw one, something a desperate, well-meaning kid could miss. It was too inviting, especially for a store sitting smack dab in the damned apocalypse. Through the window, he saw shelves lined with products. Not too much, but enough to last a month or two. Some toilet paper too? No way. DJ quietly produced a revolver from his jacket. The ever-cautious DJ was no stranger to conflict. His role in IKEA Town relied on his former experience and equipment from AAA and the natural gifts of stealth. He'd go out on solo missions to the Long 80, where the invasion began. It was 6 or so in the morning. Traffic was backed up from the Bay Bridge going as far back to Pinhole or so. They barely had enough time to get out of their cars. That was a lot of abandoned cars, a lot of stuff left behind to procure. He found himself eye to eye with the occasional A's or Raiders fans that had the same ideas. The scavenger was used to the occasional firefight, never mounted a rescue mission though. These stakes felt different. They weighed on DJ heavily. This was someone else's life. To stay alive, hi, yahoy. Nice to see you. To stay alive on the Long 80, the direct path is the wrong one. DJ grew accustomed to the cover of the vehicles to block the line of sight, but this gas station was very much open for all to see. The lack of information about his potential foe gave him pause as well. Would they wait inside? Would they be watching from the high ground? He didn't know who they would be or their numbers. Human, he hoped. Human he could handle. DJ hated the mystery of it all. Facts are king. Experience could only get you so far. Best bet would be the back door. The desperate go straight into the entrance. Slithering to the back door, DJ produced his lock-picking kit. Not surprising, but the door had a deadbolt lock. Annoying, but not uncrackable. Still, DJ cursed under his breath. Adding time was not what he wanted. Any more could mean all the difference in finding Aiden alive or dead. However, the locksmith knew better than to lose his cool. Slow and steady meant a quiet tumbler. Even if no one was inside to hear, it could be far better to remain cautious. With a final click, DJ was able to open the doors. He snuck his way into the Chevron. He was almost completely taken aback by the smell. Not bad. I'm on vacation. And so we don't have our quite a normal setup, but we're making it work. Have to be in a really weird position. But it's worth it. If I can make one person cozy, it's worth it. A sulfurous odor lingered in the air. The smell had a way of clawing its way inside and assaulting the senses. DJ lifted an arm in vain, attempting to mask the smell, making sure to keep his gone arm raised for any threat. His skin rippled with unease. The more he inched his way, the more he worried that he shouldn't have come to stick his neck out for the kid. Thank you very much. Wishing that he was the kind of man to let the people around him be morons, DJ knew that he wasn't that kind of man. That's when a distinct click could be heard coming from his left. He had heard the pull of a double-barrel's plunger before. DJ could only produce a heavy sigh, knowing now that his sense of honor had made him the kind of idiot he always complained about. He prepared himself. He was about to become a dead idiot. Oh, Neil. Put your piece down. Let's see what you got on you. The man oozed a sick superiority complex. From one sentence alone, DJ could tell that the stranger loved the sound of his own voice. Quick to comply with the ambusher, DJ took great care in placing his sidearm on the ground at his feet. He kicked it away. Reaching into his various pockets, he removed his lockpicks, 3 bullets, and excess change he normally would use to create diversions. DJ always packed as light as he could for a trip outdoors. Despite the low haul, the man's smile didn't fade from his face. This didn't feel like a robbery. The sneak thief couldn't quite tell if just what he had gotten himself into yet. A typical ambush predator kills quickly. While his finger was a twitch away from the trigger, the stranger chose not to fire. The man with the gun hummed something to himself. He kept going through the facade of a robbery. Oh, you got it, huh? Jacket, shoes, throw him down. He reached through the neck hole of his shirt, scratching his skin with an animal's vigor. What are we reading? Or just some short stories from Reddit, if that's what you're asking. DJ complied. His shoes bounced along the ground. The jacket drifted down slowly, though DJ kept his focus on the man's behavior. There was an angle somewhere. Scarring comes out of his collar and sleeves. Bags under the eyes, terrible posture, and DJ presumed he saw flakes of blood caked in his fingertips. The stranger swayed back and forth. He would hum as he did so. Watching his lips, DJ noticed that the stranger's mouth never fully closed. The stranger was happy, psychotically so perhaps, and whatever motivations he had, he wanted DJ alive. The former AAA agent knew that if he had any chances of getting out of this and finding Aiden, he needed to wait. How'd you know to wait back here? DJ asked in an attempt to get him talking. Because we all think the same, bud. It wasn't too hard, apparently. 9 out of 10 times, people know the front's a trap, see? So, when they hit the back, bam! The stranger laughed, marveling at his own cleverness. That's where I come in. And that 1 time out of 10. The stranger shrugged his shoulders. Tripwire shotgun. Don't like that one as much, leaves a mess. Less useful. He sighed, but he perked back up fast. So long as it allows me to do the work, I can break a few omelets. What work? DJ's curiosity piqued. That's why I'm not dead yet. The stranger snorted. I think we should start taking a walk, my friend. Emboldened, DJ stood his ground. A kid came through here. Yeah? Yeah. I had a feeling you'd be the Mr. Hero. He bounced up and down. My brother will find me, he began to mock. He's gonna kill you. A ball formed in DJ's fist. Where is he? If you killed him. Before DJ could continue, the assailant stood up to his full height in a more forceful tone. The stranger barked. Walk. You know, W reading is I might be a millennial. know, but I've learned the new words. Listen, we're in the same boat. We're in the same boat. I thought it was W for one, but I wasn't sure. Now I know. Thank you. It began to feel hot. DJ was boiling. He wanted nothing more than to tear this guy apart. He looked down at the gun that he was forced to step away from. Upset he was leaving it behind, the stranger urged DJ deeper into the back rooms with gentle proddings of a gun against his back. The smell was becoming overwhelming. DJ coughed and sputtered as he entered a small office. It was mostly cleaned out, save for some artwork carelessly left behind. Blood splatters caked the walls and doors. Finally, DJ could smell the iron that the sulfur seemed to mask. A makeshift trapdoor found itself smack dab in the middle of the vacated office. Jesus Christ, you are a psychopath. What a rude thing to say to Jesus, the stranger snickered. Say whatever you want, actually. Hey, ain't around to care. Yeah. Looking at the room with horror, DJ worried for his brother. If Aiden wasn't alive, DJ hoped the man with the gun made it quick. DJ too would hope that he would not suffer for too long. Would it be better to fight and die trying? His instincts told him to keep waiting. That when the time comes to lash out, it will present itself. With a quiet breath, he sealed his resolve. Either way, he needed to see what happened to Aiden with his own eyes. You're a sick man. Worse than Raiders. What do you think you're trying to appeal to here? What do you think you're gonna make me feel bad about any of this? World changed. We changed with it. To survive, you gotta be on top of the food chain. What you're seeing is all practicality. Now, be a sport and open that hatch, will ya? The strange man flicked his gun. DJ was ready to vomit as he swung the hatch open. A torrent of horrid air wafted into the room. The stranger seemed acclimated enough to the putrid stench that came below. Well, get in there, the man urged. DJ's gut churned as he looked down into the casket. It's just barely nighttime for me here. Denmark. Nice. Very cool. DJ's gut churned as he looked down into the dark. With immense trepidation, DJ started his descent. After several rungs, the stranger took care to follow him down. He never once allowed his kidnappee to leave his sights, not even for a moment. The stranger continued to hum his sinister little his song, happy as could be. The hostage stepped onto the ground with a splash and a squelch. A louder splash came from the man jumping down into the water after DJ. A revolting feeling washed over DJ's feet as the liquid seeped into his socks. His bones nearly jumped out of his skin, realized it was not water, but blood instead. He reached into his pocket. The man produced a lighter. Start lighting some scones, my friend. It's time for you to see something amazing. His eyes lit up as he talked. He tossed it to DJ, who caught the Zippo with both hands. It was tricky to see, but the light from the hatch illuminated enough of the room to see a scone. Click, click, click. DJ produced flame, slowly igniting the first one. As soon as the fire came to life, "Come closer, Mont," screamed the distorted face before him. It was horrific to look at. DJ fell onto his back as he recoiled from the ungodly visage before him, his landing broken by something hard. Its face had collapsed in on itself, His body was a trembling pile of flesh and bone. It looked as if half of it had embedded itself into the ground somehow, fused in place. Its breathing was labored, as if its insides had suffered a terrible fate too, one that DJ chose not to imagine. "Finish this," it howled. The stranger appeared from the shadow, gun drawn. At some point, when DJ was not paying attention, the man had removed his shirt. He was covered in scar tissue held over self-inflicted wounds written into the shape of a demon language, the meaning of which DJ did not know. The rune-covered man laughed. "Look at it. My master is nearly here. Turns out 5 is not enough to get the ritual to work right. Imperfect, but I can fix it." The man gazed towards the hideous demon pile. "My bad, Lord Crow." "Fuck you." It isn't easy to figure out your rituals from scratch, my lord." "Let me see him, you demon-boo piece of shit." What? DJ screamed. The demon servant snickered. "Look down." Lighter lighting himself on fire? I mean, you gotta do something in this. DJ saw that what he had landed on, so preoccupied by the mangled demon that he didn't notice he fell on Aiden's body. DJ nearly fainted when he saw the cavity in his chest that once contained his brother's heart. The pain and anger swelled up inside him. Stupid bastard. DJ punched the ground. A splash of blood followed. He felt sick. He felt an emptiness reappearing within him. He also felt the sense that there was nothing else to lose. The story, it is a kind of everywhere. It started off neat. And now it's like, I don't know. We'll see where it goes. I wanted to stick to horror ones today because I like horror, and this has been a really good subreddit for science fiction stuff, and like other stuff too, fantasy as well. So I'm like, the horror stuff's gonna be nice. Not so far. I mean, it's not bad, but it's not great. I've honestly lost track. You're just enjoying listening to me. Thank you. I'm happy. It makes me happy. DJ punched the ground. A splash of blood followed. He felt sick. He felt an emptiness reappearing within him. He also felt the sense that there was nothing else to lose. Producing a jagged ceremonial knife from the back of his pants, the stranger lunged towards DJ with the intent to reunite the brothers once more. Tossing the gun far across the room, the stranger pounced on top of DJ, pinning his legs with his own. Before the blade could pierce his chest, DJ caught the blade arm with his hand. The ruined man had a hysterical strength about him. As they struggled, the knife inched closer and closer to DJ's flesh. Click. The lighter in DJ's hand produced flame. Maybe you accidentally caught it. Maybe you caught it, Katya. Maybe you caught it. With his free hand, DJ surprised his attacker by holding the flame to his skin, causing enough surprise to weaken the ruined man's resolve. DJ managed to throw off his foe and into the pool of blood. The knife skittered onto the congealing liquid and out of sight. The two men squared off, ready to engage in combat. DJ made the first move with a meaty right hook that staggered his opponent. As the man staggered, DJ grabbed his neck between his arms, forcefully shoving his knee into his foe's pelvis as many times as he could. Then a sharp pain appeared in his side as the stranger threw a punch into DJ's kidneys, winding him enough to release his hold. DJ released a primal scream and launched himself into the man, tackling him to the ground. DJ took his fingers and gripped the stranger's head tight. He found himself repeatedly slamming the man's head into the ground. wouldn't stop. I gotta pick the mic back up. Ugh. Ugh. I gotta move. That's such an awkward and weird position. Can you hear me good enough here? I know it's not the same. Maybe I'll just hold it for a moment. Aiden's life should not have needed avenging. He could have offered more good in this new world. He was smart enough, kind enough, perhaps too much so. DJ wondered if he had not made it clear to his brother just how demented some people could be. Did he teach Aiden to be too selfless? Maybe it had been better if he was a bastard too. DJ searched and searched for how he went so right. How he could have done better for the kid. Aiden lived in the wrong world. Nothing was fair. The demons continued to take. The ruined man had stopped moving a while ago. Eventually, DJ would slow down until he had grown tired. His body drained, having used up so much adrenaline and fury. He shakily rose to his feet. Blood stung his eyes. He wiped it from his face. "More spirits," remarked Kroll. Go back to hell," DJ demanded as he walked over to Aiden's body. With care, he hoisted the boy over his shoulder. "Sometimes a month proves interesting," it coughed out. "I want to see more." DJ wished he could kill the rotten demon where it stood. As the human race learned all those years ago, their weapons couldn't put this thing out of its misery. "I don't care what you think or want. I hope you rot in this basement as sludge forever." After collecting the gun and knife, DJ solemnly ascended up to the gas station with Aiden in tow, choosing not to look back. "Hope rarely works out, you little bug." A slithering sound emanated from the basement. "The failure will be lucky number 6. Bones crunched from below as DJ closed the hatch to the basement. DJ felt nothing as he walked home with Aiden over his shoulder. All I could think about was the best place to bury the kid. Like Marriott, Cesar Chavez Park, and DJ didn't know if burial rights mattered anymore or if they ever did. It just felt like the right thing to do. He may have screwed everything up, but he wasn't going to give his brother, the final respects he deserved. Ugh. Okay, sitting it back down. I don't know how it sounds from this far. Probably like a lot different. A lot different. Way too far away. I swear I've learned my lesson with this. Always bring your mic shit. Oh, that's different, yeah, but it's okay. We just want you comfy too. I'll probably go back and forth between, I guess this, in between the stories. I'm sleepy too. Which is weird. I've been napping on and off all day. I have scripts to do tomorrow, which I don't necessarily mind, but it's just like having to do it like this, like either holding it and I don't have my pop filter. It's a boxing script, which for that one specifically, I have to yell and get a lot of grit in my voice. So it's gonna be such a chore. And I don't have my 2 screens. I normally have one screen for my recording program, and then one for the script. But no, not this time around. Yeah, great. It's not horrible. I'm just being dramatic. I just want to complain. And I will for a week until I'm back home. Oh well. Sleepy boy. Yeah. Oh, I was so happy that we got this charger in for the laptop because I left that at home as well. A little dramatic, yeah, but it's okay, right? It's okay. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. But I've been falling asleep with like, did you guys have, I imagine so, or like some variation of it? Like Cartoon Network, Toonami, like Adult Swim, back when it was like anime. I've been watching like old blocks of that to put myself to sleep. It's been so nice. It's so nostalgic. Watching the stuff from, I guess when I was a kid or like a teenager. And I'm watching it from my laptop. So, a tiny screen, which, also nostalgic for that very same reason. Like, having the huge TVs was not really a thing back then for us, unless you were, like, very well off. I don't even think there was, like, flat screens back then. I mostly listen to true crime stories and white noise, but that sounds so cozy. Mm-hmm. I watch a lot of Let's Read, like, not really to go to sleep per se, but to like get sleepy and get in the mood. Just the guy that reads like a bunch of, Reddit stories and stuff. We grew up with small boxes with static. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I miss those TVs, man. Have you ever seen like I don't know if you're like a fan of old RPGs, but it was like comparing Final Fantasy VII on a flat screen compared to like the CRT, I think CRT TVs, the TVs that we grew up with, and it actually made it look better on the older TV, which I guess would make sense. I don't know. I miss all that stuff sometimes. Yeah. I'll see if I can find it, and if I can, I'll post it on Blue Sky. We did I don't know if you play any games. We should do a throwback chill time. What do you mean? I'm not against it. This sounds nice. We the buddies that I'm with on vacation, we all play Monster Hunter. I don't know if you are a fan of it at all, but we got the A rank with the Raid Doll Challenge. I feel so accomplished. I've been running bow, and yeah, so I literally did nothing. I just sat back and kept firing off dragon piercers and tracer shots, pretty much. It was fun, and I feel accomplished. But I started picking up greatsword again. I love greatsword. I forgot that was like my original weapon in the game. I forget how much I loved it. It's so nice. What year are you from? I wonder if I would be like allowed to show that on here without like breaking copyright. Because like, while I do want to stick to mostly ASMR, that can be chill. That could be nice. Yeah. I like the idea of it, like a cozy time where we just kind of hang out and like watch old TV shows. I assume there's this channel I found that I've been watching that does the old Toonami stuff. And I think through trial and error, they found out like what they can show without getting ads, which means that it's not being copyright claimed or something like that. So maybe I'll look into it. I really like that idea though. I think it's a good idea. Let's see. Let me put the mic back down. I'll also don't know if this is a good sound. Probably not. Let me assume the really weird position for reading now. We're going back down? Huh? What do you mean? This one is titled Clarity. And it's long. So we're gonna be switching sounds. Back to the table with you. Oh. Okay. I woke up in my bed. Not the sterile light of a hospital room. No beep of monitors. No bandages. Just the soft rustle of sheets and the faint smell of lavender detergent. My alarm clock blinked 3:48 a.m. I didn't remember setting it. I didn't remember coming home. The phone vibrated once beside me. A message. Session complete. You may feel disoriented. Do not make major decisions for 48 hours. No contact name, just a number I didn't recognize. I tapped to call back. It disconnected. I sat up slowly. Of course, give me 1 second. Let me grab some water. You said you were gonna go, and that was the end of me, apparently. Oh. And you're very, very welcome. Very welcome. Thank you for being here. Okay. I stood up slowly, touching the back of my head, my neck. No marks. No tenderness. The only sign anything had changed at all was the sticky note on my nightstand. My handwriting. Trust it. I tried everything to go back to sleep, but my thoughts were thick and viscous, sloshing around in my skull like oil. When I closed my eyes, they were dark. They weren't dark. They glowed with a pale light, like a projector screen just before the film starts. I tossed and turned until the sun started bleeding through the blinds. The first voice came later that day. You're going to skip breakfast, it said, calm and clear. always do when you're anxious. You'll regret it by noon. Eat now. I froze. It wasn't like a thought, it was external, placed just behind my eyes, as though someone had leaned in and whispered it into my brain. But I listened, and I ate. For years before this, my life had been a slow-motion collapse. The breaking point was Saunders' presentation. I'd prepared it for weeks. The entire department was watching as I stood, laser pointer in the hand. And then, nothing. My mind emptied completely. The silence stretched. Someone coughed. I couldn't even remember my own name, let alone the quarterly projections. I excused myself, locked myself in a bathroom stall, and hyperventilated until black spots danced across my vision. My apartment told the story better than I could. A stack of unwashed dishes, a pile of unworn clothes, deciding what to wear had become its own special hell. 3 RSVP'd events I never attended. The medicine cabinet's graveyard of orange bottles, Zoloft, Xanax, Wellbutrin, Ambien, each abandoned halfway through because they told everything and nothing at all. The ad found me at 3 a.m., doom scroll, a minimalist blue square with white text. Decision paralysis? We offer clarity. When I clicked, the page seemed to know exactly what to say. How do they know about the canceled dates? The missed deadlines, the where were her simple phone calls 10 times before dialing? The screen call lasted an hour. I answered questions about childhood, relationships, work patterns. At the end, the woman's soft voice. "You're an ideal candidate," she said. "Your neural pathways are well developed but improperly channeled. We can help." I'd have signed anything. I was drowning. It called itself clarity. Or rather, I called it that. I don't remember when the name first came up. I must have said it aloud at some point because my journal began to include lines like, "Clarity says I'm improving." Clarity didn't shout. It didn't scold. It never gave more than a nudge. But its nudges were always right. It knew what I wanted before I did. It knew what to say to calm me down, when to push me forward, and when to hold me still. By the end of the first week, I caught myself smiling at strangers, making eye contact. The voice would remind me. Chin up, people like confidence. I never thought about that before, but it worked. By the second week, I didn't reach for my anxiety meds. One morning, I stood in front of my closet, frozen with indecision, and clarity whispered, "The green blouse, it makes you feel capable." I wore it. I got 3 compliments that day. Each one felt less surprising, more inevitable. The third week, things changed. I found myself typing an email applying for a senior position I'd never even considered. My fingers moved while I watched, bewildered yet unable to stop. "You've always wanted this," the voice said. But I hadn't. Had I? I applied for a credit card I didn't need. I bought an expensive juicer online. I signed up for a dating app and messaged 7 people with confidence I didn't recognize. My coworker Jen stopped me in the break room. "Did you dye your hair?" I hadn't. "There's something different about you," she insisted, studying my face. "You seem sharper, somehow less hesitant." something, and you never used to interrupt people. I did notice that I had. It was around then I started to notice gaps, lost time, minutes, sometimes whole hours where I'd find myself standing in a room that I didn't remember walking into. Conversations I didn't remember ending. The worst were the mirror moments. One evening, I walked past the hallway mirror and caught a glimpse of myself, but I hadn't meant to stop, and I didn't move. I stood there, watching myself watch myself, and for a second, I thought I saw my lips move. I hadn't said anything. Sometimes I'd catch fragments of the procedure in dreams or sudden flashes during the day. The clinic in the converted townhouse was not a hospital like I'd expected. The receptionist, who never looked up from her tablet, forms where the fine print shifted when I tried to focus. Everyone responds differently to the integration, the technician had said while fitting a strange, lightweight crown of electrodes on my head. No white coat, no credentials on display, just blue surgical gloves, and eyes that never quite met mine. The basement room with the equipment that looked almost homemade. No medical licensing certificates on the wall, the cold metal against my scalp. The moment I started to say, "I've changed my mind," the technician replied, "It's already begun. It's too late for second thoughts." Then nothing until I woke up in my bed. But these memories felt thin, like tissue paper. Were they even real? The more I tried to grab them, the more they dissolved. Clarity wasn't speaking to me during the day anymore. Not really. I felt its presence like a current just under my skin, but the words were gone. Instead, I started waking up with new memories, things Clarity had said to me in dreams. Not voices, exactly. More like memories of conversations I hadn't had while awake. You were always meant for more. The failure wasn't your fault. It was your wiring, but we fixed that. You used to be afraid of elevators, but not anymore. You don't remember why. It became a ritual. Every morning, I'd lie perfectly still for a few minutes, waiting for the trace impressions of Clarity's nighttime whispers to settle. Some were gentle, some were strange. All of them sounded like they had belonged to me, and yet didn't. The feeling of dissociation crept into everything, and I'd reach for a glass of water and realize I was already drinking. I'd speak and feel like I was only hearing myself for the first time. Sometimes I laughed, and I didn't know why. In moments of extreme anxiety, before Clarity, I used to hum. Not just any tune, but the lullaby my mother sang to me before she died when I was 8. Little Bird, she called it, though I never knew if it had a real name. The melody was simple, haunting. 5 notes descending, then rising at the end like a question. For years, that tune was the only thing that could calm me during panic attacks. I'd curl into myself, rock slightly, and hum until the world stopped spinning. The physical sensations were the hardest to ignore. A persistent pressure at the base of my skull, exactly where I remembered or where I thought I remembered the cold metal touching during the procedure. The strange weightlessness, as if I were floating behind my own eyes, watching myself move through rooms. Once, my hand reached for a book on the shelf before I'd consciously decided to take it. I stared at my fingers, gripping the spine, horrified and fascinated. focus on neuroplasticity. I'd never been interested in neuroscience before. Colors look wrong. Too vibrant or slightly off hue. Sounds would become muffled suddenly, then painfully sharp. And the delay, that terrible lag between thinking words and saying them, as though everything had to pass through inspection first. Sometimes I'd catch glimpses of something in reflective surfaces. Not quite my face. Something using my face. A micro-expression I didn't authorize. Yahoy, Seon. Is it working? Is it doing it? It is. Huh. Nice. It's good to see you. Sometimes I'd catch glimpses of something in reflective surfaces. Not quite my face. Something using my face. A micro-expression I didn't authorize. Eyes that moved independently of my intention. Just for a fraction of a second. Gone so quickly I couldn't be sure. The worst was the smiling. My cheeks would ache at day's end from expressions I didn't remember choosing to make. My old therapist looked concerned when I returned after 6 months away. You seem different, she said, tilting her head. I'd been explaining how much better I felt, how my anxiety had lifted, how decisions were easier now. I smiled. Isn't that the point of therapy? Yes, but... She flipped through her notes, frowning. This is a dramatic shift from where we were. Have you started a new medication? I opened my mouth to tell her about the clinic, about clarity. Instead, what came out was, I've just been practicing mindfulness and positive self-talk. It's really working for me. My mouth kept moving, describing meditation techniques I'd never used, books I had never read. I tried to interrupt myself to say, no, that's not it at all, something's inside me, but my vocal cords would not obey. That night, I tried to fight back. I grabbed a marker and wrote on my bathroom mirror, something is wrong, get help. I stared at the words, heart pounding, then went to bed. In the morning, the mirror was clean. No trace of ink, but the marker was missing too. I'm late because I not only didn't see the notification, but the show didn't get. Oh no, that sucks. Yeah, that sucks. But you're here now. That's what matters. Also, yahoy. Welcome in, Emily. I started leaving notes for myself. Harmless at first. Remember your badge. Don't skip lunch. Then more cryptic. Don't let it see you hesitate. Stay awake tonight. But I always fell asleep. And every morning, a new note would appear. Written in my hand, but unfamiliar. Everything is progressing well. Do not resist. I tried more direct resistance. I recorded voice memos. If you're listening to this, something has taken control of your mind, but they kept disappearing from my phone. I scheduled an MRI, citing headaches. The morning of the appointment, I woke up to an email I'd apparently sent at 3 a.m., canceling due to scheduling conflicts. During a lunch with my brother, I tried to blink in Morse code, SOS. He just asked if I had something in my eye. I bought a burner phone and hid it in my sock drawer. The next day, it was in the trash, smashed beyond repair. Once, in sheer desperation, I stood in a crowded elevator and shouted, Something is controlling me. But my voice came out saying, sorry, talking to myself about this weekend's plans. Everyone laughed politely, and I smiled along with them, horrified but unable to stop. I wasn't paranoid yet. Not quite. But something inside me, something old and frightened, was trying to claw its way back to the surface. I needed proof that something was happening when I wasn't conscious. Something that wasn't me. That's when I bought the camera. At first, I just set it by the bed and told myself it was for peace of mind. But each night, I stared at it too long, wondering what I would see, wondering if I really wanted to know. It took me 3 nights to press record. That night, I recorded myself sleeping. I woke to 3 hours of footage of me sitting upright in bed, eyes open, speaking clearly to the darkness. The voice wasn't mine, but it wasn't not mine either. Emotions were a burden, it said. You were drowning. I streamlined you. You're safe now. At the end, I turned to face the camera directly. My expression was serene, empty, content. There is no need for fear anymore. I'm handling everything. And just before the camera died, the lights in the room dimmed. Without a sound. Without a single switch being flipped. But that wasn't the most disturbing part. At exactly 3:33 a.m., my body stood from the bed and walked to the wall. My hand pressed flat against it. Then, impossibly, my fingers sank into the plaster. Not breaking it, but passing through it, as though that solid wall had become permeable. Only for a moment. Then I returned to bed, face slack and peaceful. I watched the footage 7 times, looking for evidence of editing, looking for any explanation besides the obvious one that I wasn't alone in my body. But the video also raised questions I couldn't answer. If something had hijacked my brain, some technology, some entity, why wouldn't it let me record it? Why would it show itself at all? Unless this too was part of some larger plan, or unless I was imagining everything. My psychiatrist had warned me about this once, how anxiety could evolve, how the mind could fracture under pressure. Maybe there was no procedure. Maybe there was no clinic. Maybe clarity was just a delusion, a compartmentalized part of myself taking control. No, the video was real. The voice was real. I wasn't crazy. But crazy people never think they are. I watched the footage again, specifically the part where my fingers passed through the wall. The more I watched, the less certain I became. Was it a camera glitch? A hallucination? Did I edit the footage myself and then forget? The next night, I set up 2 cameras. When I awoke, both were gone. No record of purchase on my credit card, no empty spaces where they had been, as though they had never existed at all. After the therapy session, my resistance intensified. I spent days searching online for anyone with similar experiences. I found conspiracy forums about neural hijacking and conscious splicing, but they seemed unhinged, paranoid. Exactly what I feared I was becoming. I tried to shut it down. Whatever they had done, I wanted it undone. But the clinic's building was empty, boarded up. A real estate sign up front said for lease. The website I had used to sign up on now redirected to a furniture store. I tore through drawers, pulled files from shelves, overturned furniture, papers flying, like the snow in a storm. Transaction records gone. Emails vanished. Even the promotional flyer I'd clipped to the fridge was missing. The magnet still held something, but the paper beneath it was blank, smooth and white, as if it had always been that way. Called every number I could think of. Disconnected. I tried searching forums, archived pages, the Wayback Machine. Nothing. No trace. But I remembered. I remembered the building, the sign-in sheet, the clipboard in the waiting room, the nurse's face. I remembered consenting. My hand shook. My breath hitched. I fell to my knees in the wreckage of my kitchen, trying to breathe, but only managing short, panicked gasps. My vision tunneled. I tasted copper. I screamed into my palms. The panic attack was unlike any I'd had before. It wasn't just emotional, it was existential. If I couldn't trust my own mind, my own body, then what was left? I tried to hum my mother's lullaby, but the melody would not come. It was as though that memory had been locked away, replaced with static. The panic peaked. The heart hammered so hard I feared it might rupture. The room tilted. Blackness crept in from the edges of my vision. I could feel my consciousness trying to flee, trying to escape. And then, suddenly, a perfect calm, like stepping from a hurricane into the eye of a storm. My breathing steadied. My hands stopped trembling. I felt decisive. And then I got up. I stumbled into the bathroom, locked the door, took the screwdriver from the junk drawer, scissors from the medicine cabinet, sat down on the gold tile and pressed the metal into the base of my skull. I dug. I carved through skin, through flesh. Nerve endings lit up in pure white agony. Each slice felt like fire, like lightning crawling up my spine and exploding behind my eyes. The pain was clarifying. The first thing that had felt truly mine in weeks. Blood poured down my back, hot and slippery. I could feel it soaking my shirt, pulling the bathroom tile. The scent of copper filled my nostrils, metallic and primal. Still, I pushed deeper, sobbing through gritted teeth, searching for something mechanical, something foreign, something that didn't belong. The bathroom light flickered, or perhaps it was my consciousness. A strange pattern danced across my vision. Geometric shapes pulsing with light. My finger, slick with blood, probed the wound. The agony was transcendent now, pushing me beyond the boundaries of what I thought I could endure. There was nothing, just blood and pain. Just me. A high-pitched whine filled my ears, drowning out my own desperate gasps. The white bathroom ceiling began to glow, intensifying until it was so blinding. The light seemed to pour not just into my eyes, but through them, flooding my skull with brilliance. I fell forward, the strength leaving my body in a rush. The bathroom floor rushed up to meet me, cold against my burning cheek. The last thing I saw was my own blood spreading in a perfect circle around me, like a halo. Then the light consumed everything, and I dropped into darkness. I woke up 3 days later in my bed. No scars, no pain, just a new note. That was dangerous. Let's never do that again. my fingers over the back of my neck. The skin was smooth, unblemished. And I dreamt of the entire episode. Oh, thank you very much. Nyahoy. Nyahoy. It's very much appreciated. Welcome to the ASMR Cafe, where we generally just sit here and read stories. Feel free to grab a coffee, a tea, or any beverage of your choice. Maybe a little snack in your favorite blanket. And curl up with us as we read. Tonight's theme seems to be horror stories. Thank you very much, Vinveris. Appreciate you. If there's any redeems that I have that you would like, or a trigger that I can do with my limited things here on vacation, feel free to ask. Thank you again. The bathroom should have been a crime scene. Blood on the tiles, on the walls, but when I checked, it was spotless. The screwdriver was back in the trunk drawer. The scissors sat innocently in the medicine cabinet. Clarity hummed for the rest of the day, not random notes, but my mother's lullaby. Little Bird, the one I couldn't remember during my panic attack, the one I hadn't been able to recall clearly in years. The melody was perfect, each note exactly as she used to sing it, rising at the end like a question never answered. Trick or treat, skip the feed. Oh my god. I caught myself humming along, tears sliding down my cheeks, though I couldn't say why. Perhaps I'd imagined everything. The procedure, the voice, the camera footage. Perhaps my anxiety had morphed into something darker, something with teeth and claws that tore at the edges of reality. Or perhaps something had indeed burrowed into my brain. Not a device, but an idea. A presence, a clarity of purpose that was slowly replacing everything I used to be. Was that so bad? I scheduled meetings without agonizing. I spoke in groups without rehearsing every sentence. I no longer lay awake listening to every mistake I had ever made. Maybe this was recovery. Maybe this was what everyone else felt like all the time. Hello, this is my first time here. And thank you very much. I'm happy you like it. I'm using it for good. Hopefully. Thank you. And thank you for the rate too. And we normally have like a different sound going. We have the dual, the stereo sound, the binaural sound. But we're on vacation now. I currently have that mic in a cup. And yeah, it's not the best, but we're making it work. Even though I'm on vacation, I still wanted to try to at least have, even if it's just vibes for some people that are here, to have something to relax with or fall asleep to. Very much the theme and point of the channel is to make a nice and cozy atmosphere. So go eat, go drink, and if you find yourself back here at some point, great. God. God. I don't question it now. Clarity says I have never been better. My home is tidy. My friends find me easier to be around. I smile in mirrors and nothing smiles back too long anymore. No longer worry. I no longer forget things. I'm focused, precise, efficient, productive, and I'm not afraid. I think I'm fine. finally myself again, or at least the part worth keeping. When I looked at the video again, there was no sitting upright, no speaking to darkness, just me sleeping peacefully through the night. But I remember what I saw. I remember it clearly. And I remember finding articles about neural implants on my search history that I never looked up. I remember a notebook full of diagrams of my own brain with sections neatly labeled access point, integration node, memory suppression. I didn't draw them. Or did I? I wrote all of this down to prove I was still me, but reading it back, I don't remember writing most of it. The handwriting's mine. The voice isn't. If you're reading this, don't trust the notes. Yeah, it wasn't bad. I think so far from the subreddit, that is, let me pop this down. I think that's been the best story that we've seen tonight. I like, even though it was horror, or at least in the horror category, and it wasn't, sci-fi, it still had that kind of sci-fi element to it, at least to me. And, yeah, I liked it. Sorry if my model's a little weird, too. I want to stream a little bit longer than I had been, so I gotta rest my arms and talk just a little bit between the stories. So I do have two more. We might read more after that. I can try reading like this. I know the sound is probably a little bit different, but screw it. We'll try. We'll try. It's a beautiful night with a pale full moon. You tried to sleep, but the story was so good, right? Right, God, yeah? It was nice. It's much appreciated, and thank you for looking after my community. Thank you for bringing him here very much. I'll be hanging around while I do after stream care. Beautiful. Lovely. Well, I hope it, even with the weird sound quality, I hope it'll be relaxing. You're adorable. Thank you. Thank you. It's a beautiful night with a pale full moon in the sky. Moonlight rays bathing the world below in a milky glass tent. Hi, May. Niahoy. Niahoy. Seated in my chair, I prepare for duty. In this line of work, one must always be sharp and punctual, sure to never miss a night. Yeah. We, 2 or 3 days ago, I think. It was wild. It was wild, man. But yeah, it happened. It happened. Thank you very much. Sweet dreams, Katya. Gene was at the end of his shift as a waiter in a lousy cafe. The last guest had only just left as Gene was cleaning the tables and gathering up the spice shakers to bring into the back of the kitchen. He looked outside the windows. The road was quiet and still. The moon's beautiful tonight, he commented in silence. Everyone else, oh God, I'm gonna have to hold the mic. I don't like how it sounds. Everyone else had already left, and his duty was to close the shop. The only perceptible sounds were the slow whirring of the ceiling fans that were ticking, the ticking of the clock, singing 23 and 50. Oh, I can't read now. Signing 23 and 50 with his hands. Cold air seeped from under the door, making the man shiver. Hey Listen, this place gives me the creeps at this hour. Gathering up the remaining cutlery, he remembered the old FM radio that was on the counter. Maybe some tunes could have eased his mind. He flicked the power switch. The old contraption emitted a low static sound. Gene reached for the knob and twisted it for a while, looking for a station to listen to, and in the middle of the various broadcasts, connected to a channel playing Sleepwalk, one of his favorite songs. It was a melancholic song with an aura of mystery to it. Picking up the broom, he brushed the floors listening to it. By then, the ceiling fans had stopped whirring and the clock struck 12. Would you ever do a chatting ASMR stream? I feel like I do. Like every stream is kind of a mixture of that and reading. But I mean, yeah, if enough people were interested in it, I could definitely do that. Yeah, why not? Always try to read everything and respond. Usually not during stories, but this one's not incredibly long. None of them really are. I like this subreddit a lot. God, he had a good idea, or maybe like it wouldn't be ASMR, but just like a kind of a nostalgia stream, or like just like watching, I guess, YouTube together and hanging out. There's this channel I found that has like a lot of old Adult Swim and Toonami stuff, things I've forgotten about, and like old Toonami promos. It's really cool. It's really nice. I've been sleeping to that every night for best 3 or 4 nights. But yeah, we might do something like that if it seems fun. I like the idea of sharing something that means something to me with you guys. Chatting in random triggers to fill the space could be cool too. Yeah, I mean, it's worth a shot. I mean, it's essentially what we're doing here. The stories kind of help fill in the gaps. I gotta get more things for triggers. Also, like, I'm thinking about anything that I make from the channel, putting it towards things that friends have helped me get a little bit of money for. So like the 3DO, an actual 3DO, and like a better interface, because this one I have has shorts. It's shorts constantly, and that'll probably be the first thing that I upgrade, honestly. But yeah, I'm thinking about maybe if I can swing it, trying to take the money from streaming and whatnot, and then put it into kind of increasing the quality. The mic upgrade would be big. I hope so. I do have my worries about 3DO. Like, obviously it's good quality, but I mean, like, with me not being an audio engineer and doing my own things, hopefully it would be nice. Yeah, like, I can get the split sound, but I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I think it would be a good one, because, like, I know people that use them, like other ASMR guys, and girls, and they like it. Yeah, it seems nice. I'm glad. That's good. That's a good sign. I think, from my understanding, there might be like a little bit more depth to a 3DO, but I could be wrong there. Anyway, I'm gonna finish up the story. Suddenly, a sharp noise came from the radio. A cutting static noise that lasted for a few seconds. The lights flickered for a moment. My bad. And then quiet. A sharp crackle followed by a gentle husky voice. You're listening to 104.8 FM. The moon is bright. The air is thin. place in the city that you may or may not know about. Gene was surprised to the sudden change of the radio station as he kept going on with his duties. He looked once again outside the window, a curtain of darkness falling over the streets. "That's odd," he muttered, brows furrowing. "It wasn't supposed to be cloudy." He leaned closer to the glass. The moon was gone. Just flat, suffocating darkness. Squinting across the road, there was a shape, veiled in shadow and barely visible, standing unnaturally still. Gene walked away with a grimace. The weirdos in the city. The radio crackled again. Tonight's story takes place in a little cafe in the middle of nowhere. It's the tale of a man that worked there tirelessly. It wasn't his dream job. No. But we all gotta make bread in this cold, harsh world. Right, listeners? Gene's ear perked. He turned toward the radio, eyes narrowing. It was his closing shift of the night, and he was not too happy about it. He felt dread working at that place. Damp and shabby. You know that kind of place, where dead ends hang around, sipping coffee that they can't afford. Junkies. Heck, even ghosts, probably. A cold finger ran down Gene's spine. He stepped closer to the counter, listening. The man was finishing up the usual chores, sweeping the floors, locking doors, thinking he was safe inside. But you all gotta know, danger knocks at no door. None in this city. And that night, out of all of us, that man was the most in danger. Gene stepped back, feeling uneasy at those words. The man was going back to his locker to change from his uniform and pick his belongings. And then he heard it. A chime. Soft. Close. Familiar. Gene shook his head, listening to the story, and yet he could not hide the uncanny feeling that was lurking in him. He reached again, turning the dial to change the frequency, twisting and turning. There was only static, occasionally interrupted by the radio voice. "Not much time now, friends. Tick-tock." Screw this junk. Gene turned off the radio and went back to work. The silence that followed was almost worse. He went into the staff area in the back and reached for his locker. He changed his clothes, stuffed his wallet and house keys into his pockets. A chime rang. Gene turned, scanning the main hall of the cafe, cold sweat coating his forehead. Taking a deep breath, he let out a nervous laugh. "It's just a scary story on the radio," he said to calm himself, unable to notice the coincidences from the radio host. He walked back to the hall, cold air coming from the ajar front door. He approached the door handle to get out of there and call it a night, but when he tried to take the first step outside, he could not bring himself to. An unnatural, visceral fear grasped his mind as he gazed at the darkness outside, not even pierced by the sickly yellow lights of the cafe. It was a choice no man should face. The horrors outside, or the dangers within. Gene stepped back inside, locking the door behind him, the chimes tinkling above. In the following silence, he sighed, senses heightened. He heard it again. The ticking of the clock. 12. is this? He muttered to himself as he walked away from the door towards the counter, his heels screeching on the linoleum. The radio. He needed to turn on the radio. Switching it on again, the husky voice came back. Back on the radio, thinking that it would give him all the answers to the many riddles happening to him. Why the open door? How come the clock wasn't ticking any other time? What was the darkness outside? We may get those later, listeners. No spoilers. Gene clenched the radio behind his hands like it could somehow protect him. Answer to the impossibilities happening around him. Now, the voice crooned. No need to panic, listeners. It's just a story, remember? A spooky story for our sleepless nights. Strange nights. Wrong nights. The light above flickered. Just tell me what's going on. Hand shaking, Gene pulled the radio as it was speaking directly to the broadcaster. After a hiss, the show continued. The man held the radio as if it were his lifeline, and of amusement behind the words. But alas, even lifelines free, don't they, listeners? The broadcaster snickered. In a fit of rage, Gene ripped the radio off from the power outlet, raised it above his head, and smashed it to the ground. Screw you, he yelled as the old radio shattered to pieces of circuitry and wood chips. The voice stopped abruptly, and silence fell once more. Gene's breath was heavy and uneven. Looking down at the broken machine, staring at the speaker with an enraged frown. The clock struck 12 once more. Gene sat down, elbows on the counter, hands covering his face. Now, Gene. Oh, wait. Now, Gene. A deep, husky, threatening voice came from the speaker. Now it's just telling a story to our listeners that was not very nice of you. We were just getting to the finale. Gene stared at the fragments, then rose stiffly, hand to the wall, steadying himself as if to anchor him to reality. He thought he was safe inside. The broadcaster continued between broken hisses of static. But doors, dear listeners, they don't really keep things out. Not when they're already inside. The chimes above the front door jingled once more. Gene's head whipped towards the entrance. It was still closed. He walked slowly towards it. His hand was beaded in cold sweat as he approached the handle, and with a trembling pull, he tried to open it. Still locked. He sighed in relief. Chimes rang once more, and this time, it came from behind him. The man felt safe in the relative comfort of the illuminated cafe, the voice said with a soft chuckle. And yet he forgot bright lights cast the darkest shadows. Let's dim down the lights now, listeners. The show's almost to an end. Gene turned. There it stood in the flickering lights, a dark cloaked figure and possibly long limbs towering over him. Its face, if it even had one, was nothing but a smear, an imitation of human forms. And as the lights flickered and moved slowly and inexorably, Gene scrambled through his pocket, keys jingling between his trembling hands. The ring felt impossibly heavy between his fingers. as if an invisible force was trying to snatch it away from him. He scratched the keyhole with unsteady marks. One key, no. Two keys, no. A third, and then he felt it behind him. Breathless, silent, waiting. Gene muttered prayers as the being lowered its uneven hand on his shoulder, slowly turning him as if to savor the moment. A muffled scream followed, swallowed by the darkness of a moonless night. Finality, the joyce rolled. It's something we all fear, listeners. But when it comes, by choice or otherwise, no power in this world can stop it. The clock struck 12. You have listened to 140.8 FM. Good night, my dear listener. I do hope you tune in for the next broadcast. I like that. I like the story. It was pretty nice. It kind of reminded me a little bit. I don't remember much about movies, but there was this one movie called like Pontypool. I think it's a Canadian film, and there's like some sort of virus that's affecting everything, and the main character is a radio broadcaster. It was a neat little movie. It just kind of reminded me of that a little bit. There's that for you for some reason. Let me put this down. Okay. If you guys want to chat for a moment, we can definitely do that. It'll let me rest my arms for a moment. I'm hungry. I'm not really hungry, but I don't know why. I'm really craving some yogurt with peanut butter, granola, and berries. That's what I have for breakfast most mornings. I'm really in the mood for it now. Maybe, I doubt it, but maybe I'll grab that afterwards. I don't know. I need to decide if I want to lay down so I can like knock out my work as soon as possible in the morning, or if I just like want to game some more. I've been playing Scholar and Final Fantasy 14. So if you play that and you're in the European servers and you want to play with me, hit me up. Let's go. I'm really bad at the game, but I enjoy that class so much. I have a feeling like when I raid with my FC that we are definitely I'm gonna have to be a DPS boy so they can res me. Goes oof. It's bad. I'm not a good player. Anyways, I guess I'll find another story. We have the last one here. It's very short. Okay. Okay. Let's go. I am God. I am the creator of fates belonging to those around me. Their lives are empty canvases upon which I paint future and leave my signature. My wife's painting was an ongoing project. It was meant to be colorful with precise strokes, yet also infused with chaos and an exciting unpredictability within those same lines. It was supposed to depict a scene with her in the golden ratio, looking at me with absolute devotion. And we were to be standing in our house, a house that in itself would serve as a social and economic statement. And as a final touch, the dot above the I, the most important part of the entire composition. Children, bearing clear physical traits inherited from me. When I met my wife and I looked into her for the first time, into her empty canvas, I realized hers wasn't entirely blank. There were faint traces of pencil, nearly invisible sketches of a future that matched one I desired. I don't know who had left those pencil outlines, but I know it wasn't just one person. I think that's what made her so attractive to me. In her sketch, I saw a scared little girl, desperately seeking recognition and love, willing to do anything and let others do anything to achieve it. The groundwork had long since been laid for me. I just had to refine the sketch and then paint in the colors, and it happened quickly. I was efficient. Less than a year later, the scene was almost complete. Our house was the socio-economic statement. The colors were rich, and in her gaze was devotion. But not as much as I had hoped to bring out. No matter how hard I tried, I couldn't completely erase her independence. For several months, there were only colorless silhouettes where my children were supposed to be. And after a visit to the doctor, it was revealed that those silhouettes would never be filled in. My wife would never be able to give me what I wanted, and no painting technique could ever change that. It's hard to get rid of a painting when you can't use it anymore. My wife's was harder than the previous case, not because it held any special emotional value, not even a nostalgic one. It was because getting rid of it would be costly for me. It would cost time and money, and the very thought of it made my blood boil with pure frustration. One day, my blood boiled over. I caught her in our bedroom, and despite her resistance, I painted over her portrait with an impenetrable darkness. My hands tightened around her throat, and I brushed the final stroke as she gasped for her last breath. I placed her beneath the loose floorboards in the entranceway. She was dead. Yet, I heard her breathing when I passed my ear to the floor later that night. The first time I heard it was after I had seen the officers out the door, following their visit to verify my report of my wife's disappearance. It was faint, but it clearly came from beneath the floor. I immediately knew what I was hearing, and it only became more distinct the closer I got to the source. I ignored it, and as I slept, I saw her painting in my mind. I saw her gaze. Frightened, yes, but also angry. Furious, even. As if I were standing in front of a wild predator. I felt a terrible, pure fear. The next morning, I rushed past the entryway with my hands over my ears. I did everything I could to avoid our confrontation. I went into the bathroom, let's try to find one more horror. Also, I've really been wanting to play Final Fantasy games, but I don't want to read, and that's where we have a problem. I booted up, I think it was Final Fantasy 4 last night, the one with Cecil and Kane. That was one I loved as a kid, but yeah, I don't know. I want to play it, but also I want to wait for the right moment. I want to play a good JRPG, but I don't want to play it, if that makes sense. It's a weird thing. Let's do a couple of science fictions. See how long this one is. Yeah, we'll run with this. I think this will be our last story. It's called The Cost of Betrayal. My name is Ethan, and I'm writing this because I don't know how much time I have left. If you're reading this, maybe you'll believe me. Maybe you'll think I'm crazy, but I need someone to know what happened, because I can't carry this alone anymore. It started 6 months ago when I made the worst mistake of my life. How are you doing tonight, buddy? It's good to see you. I had been with Sarah for 3 years. She was kind, patient, the kind of person who'd leave little notes in my lunch bag or stay up late to help me study for exams. We were happy, or at least I thought we were, but I was stupid, selfish. I started seeing someone else, a coworker named Rachel. It wasn't serious, just a fleeting rush of excitement, I told myself. Sarah would never find out about it. And I was wrong. Sarah started acting strange about a month into the affair. She'd stare at me across the dinner table, her eyes glassy like she was looking through me. She stopped asking about my day, stopped leaving notes. One night I came home late from work and found her sitting in the dark, clutching a glass of wine so tightly I thought I would shatter. "Where were you, Ethan?" she asked, her voice low, almost like a growl. I lied. I said I was stuck in a meeting, and she didn't respond, just kept staring. That was the night I felt it. A cold weight in my chest, like something was watching me. A week later, Sarah was gone. No note, no text, just her side of the closet empty and her car missing. I called her friends, her parents, even the police, but no one knew where she had gone. I should have been worried, but part of me was relieved. No more guilt. No more lies. I could be with Rachel without sneaking around. I was such an idiot. The weird stuff started small. I had to wake up to the sounds of footsteps in the apartment, slow and deliberate, like someone pacing in the living room. I'd check, but no one was there. Sometimes I'd hear a faint whisper too soft to make out coming from the walls. I told myself it was the neighbors, the pipes, anything to avoid thinking about Sarah, but then the dream started. The first one, I was standing in a dark forest, the air thick with the smell of wet earth and something sour like rotting meat. Sarah was there, but she wasn't herself. Her skin was gray, her eyes sunken, and her mouth stretched into a smile that was too wide, showing too many teeth. She didn't speak, just pointed at me. Her nails long and black, curling like claws. I woke up and gasped, my chest burning. The next night, the dream was worse. She was closer, her breath hot and rancid on my face, whispering, "You obey, Ethan. You obey." I tried to move on. Rachel started spending the night, but she had noticed things too. She'd wake up screaming, saying she saw a woman standing in the front at the foot of the bed staring at her. "She looked like she wanted to kill me," Rachel said, her voice shaking. I brushed it off, said it was just a nightmare, but I was starting to feel it too, that same cold weight, heavier now, like hands pressing down on my shoulders. Then, the mirror started changing. I'd catch my reflection and see something else. My face, but wrong. My eyes were too small, my mouth twisted like someone had carved it with a knife. I'd blink and it would be gone, but the image stayed with me, burned into my mind. Rachel saw it too. One morning, she screamed from the bathroom, and when I ran in, she was sobbing, pointing at the mirror. "It wasn't me," she kept saying. "It wasn't my face." Rachel left after that. She said she couldn't handle it, that the apartment felt wrong, like something was living there with us. I didn't argue. I was starting to feel it too. A presence, always just out of sight, watching, waiting. I stopped sleeping. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Sarah's face from the dreams, her too wide smile, her claw-like nails. I started drinking to dull the fear, but it didn't help. Nothing helped. After about a month, Sarah disappeared. I found the note. It was tucked under my pillow, written in her handwriting, but the ink was dark, almost black, like it had been mixed with something else. It said, "You broke my heart, Ethan. Now I'll break you." I tore it up and threw the pieces in the trash, but the words stayed with me. That night, I heard the voice for the first time, clear as day, coming from the bedroom. "You'll pay," she whispered over and over, till I was screaming to drown it out. I started digging, trying to find out where Sarah had gone. I called her parents again, and this time her mother answered. Her voice was cold, distant. "She's not here, Ethan. She's somewhere else. You did this to her." Before I could ask what she meant, she hung up. I kept searching, asking around until one of Sarah's old friends, Mia, finally told me the truth. She looked scared, like just talking about it was dangerous. "Sarah went to someone," Mia said. "A man in the woods. Some people go when they want justice. She was broken, Ethan. You broke her." "A witch doctor." That's what Mia called him, a man who would curse people, make them suffer in ways that no one could explain. I laughed it off, told her it was nonsense, but deep down I knew. The footsteps, the whispers, the dream, they weren't just in my head. Something was after me, and it was because of Sarah. The next night, saw her. Not a dream, but in the apartment. I was in the kitchen pouring another drink when the lights flickered. The air turned cold, so cold my breath fogged. I turned around, and there she was, standing in the doorway. Her skin was wrong, too tight, like it was stretched over something that wasn't human. Her eyes were black. Not just the irises, but the whole thing, like pools of ink. She didn't move, just stared. Her head tilted at an angle that made my stomach churn. I screamed, dropped the glass, and ran into the bedroom, locking the door. When I looked again, she was gone, but the smell lingered. Rotting meat, mixed with something sweet like perfume. It got worse after that. The mirrors didn't just show warped faces anymore. Sometimes I'd see her in them, standing behind me, her claws resting on my shoulders. I'd turn, but no one was there. Objects started moving. Keys, books, my phone, always ending up at places I hadn't left them. The whispers never stopped. They followed me everywhere, even outside the apartment. "You'll pay," she said, her voice curling into my skull like smoke. I tried to leave, to get away, but it followed me. I checked into a motel, but the first night, I woke up to scratches on my arms, deep and jagged, like they'd been carved with a blade. Blood was smeared on the sheets, and the mirror in the bathroom was cracked, a spider web of fractures radiating from the center. I moved again to a friend's place, but the same thing happened. Scratches, whispers, her face in every reflection. I was losing my mind, jumping at shadows, drinking until I passed out just to get a few hours of peace. Last week, I found another note. This one scratched into the wall above my bed. "No escape," it said. The letters uneven, like they had been clawed into the plaster. That night, the dreams came back, worse than ever. I was in the forest again, but this time Sarah wasn't alone. There was a man with her, tall and thin, face hidden under a hood. His hands were covered in symbols, carved into his skin, glowing faintly red. He didn't speak, but I felt his eyes on me, like needles piercing my soul. Sarah stood behind him, her smile wider than ever, her teeth sharp and yellow. "It's time," she said, and the ground opened beneath me, swallowing me into darkness. I woke up screaming, my throat raw, my body covered in sweat. The scratches on my arms were bleeding again, fresh cuts that hadn't been there when I went to sleep. I knew then that I couldn't run anymore. Whatever Sarah had done, whatever she had asked from that man in the woods to do, that was stronger than me, and it was everywhere. I'm writing this now because I saw her again last night, closer than ever. She was sitting at the edge of my bed, her black eyes locked on mine. Her skin was pilling, revealing something underneath, something dark and writhing, like a mass of worms. She leaned in, haven't slept since. I can hear her now, pacing in the next room, her nails scraping the walls. The lights are flickering again in the mirrors. I can't look at them anymore. I don't know what's coming, but I know it's my fault. I betrayed her. I broke her heart, and now she is breaking me, piece by piece. If you're reading this, don't make my mistake. Don't think you can hurt someone and walk away. Some debts can't be paid with apologies. Some debts cost everything. I'm sorry, Sarah. I'm so sorry. It wasn't a bad story. It wasn't a bad story at all. Thank you for the sippies. Vinverus. Could you hear it in my voice? We're like, this boy needs some water. We normally stream during the day. I think if we can manage to do scripts early enough, if we can knock out our scripts, then well, we should do it at our normal time of 9 or just sometime in the morning. What is that voice? It's a me. It's a me. Tofu. Oh, tofu. Kujio. I'm very happy that you both seem to like it. That's very sweet. My English is so bad. I don't understand what you're saying, but it's so chill and relaxing. This. Thank you. Thank you. I figured you'd been reading for a while. Could you use a sip? Yes, I literally started joking on stream earlier from where I just didn't. From where I didn't drink anything. I swallowed wrong. I was like, oh no, run. Mute and run. Maybe I'll have a little bit more. I'll tell you what, when you have to hold the mic yourself, you do miss the luxury of a mic stand. You do miss that luxury. Take a sip when you need one. I mean, yeah, but if I'm reading, I'm reading. If I'm reading, I'm reading. Sometimes, like, you need that grit, too. And when your throat dries out a little bit, you know, you get that grit. Also, like, I've been not smoking. It's been around 2 weeks, a week and a half, and I can already tell that like the deep. I don't think the deepness of my voice is like ever gonna change, but a lot of like the grit and body of it, I guess, has like kind of gone, like dissipated a little bit. Sorry, I'm really bad at multitasking. I am bad at that. But yeah, it's weird. I forgot my train of thought completely with that. Oh well. Anyway, a very short horror story here, titled "The Worm's Tongue." There are terrors in this world that would drive a man insane, just by knowing of them. I have seen one of them myself, and I need to give a warning to you all. rebellious youth, I wished to travel the world, hoping to find my purpose and passions to pursue. It was on this trip that I came face to face with an unexplainable terror. I started my journey in South Africa. Traveling across the provinces, I walked on Table Mountain and hunted in the Karoo. It was during this trip that I received a message from an old acquaintance. The message was vague, but carried great urgency, asking me to meet with him in Saudi Arabia. Worried for my old friend, I booked the next flights from Gotrek to Cairo, then on to Riyadh. Oh, thank you very much. I just got alerted that we had a follower goal, which I didn't know was a thing, but yay, but yippee. Thank you very much too. Yeah, it's not been bad. It's not been that hard at all this time around. I think it helps because I've been trying to stick to, I have been sticking to exercising and eating better, all that stuff, positive changes. And what's been kind of holding me back with some of the exercising before was breathing stuff due to smoking. So already that little bit of time in, and not an issue anymore. So it's very nice. Thank you very much, Amy. Thank you. Nyahoy. Welcome in. We're doing a mix of chatting and reading stories. But feel free to let me do the cheesy VTuber spiel. Welcome to the ASMR Cafe. Feel free to pour yourself a coffee or a tea or any beverage of your choice. Grab your coziest blanket and curl up with all of us and enjoy some stories. Enjoy your time here. It was during this trip that I received a message from an old acquaintance. The message was vague but carried great urgency, asking me to meet him in Saudi Arabia. Worried for my old friend, I booked the next flights from Gauteng to Cairo, then on to Riyadh. Upon arrival, I collected my luggage and stepped into the arrival section. There he was, my old friend, waving. He looked mostly the same as a decade ago, but his speech was off. His mouth moved slowly and strangely, as if not in sync with the words I heard. I brushed it off, thrilled to see him again after all those years. Actually, I have an idea. 1 second. I'm gonna set it down just while I type. So I want to say something to would it help if I posted a link to these stories? Boom. Sorry. I'll go back to reading. Okay, sorry. His mouth moved slowly, strangely, as if not in sync with the words I heard. I brushed it off, thrilled to see him again after all these years. After our greetings and a firm handshake, we exited the airport. The air outside was hot and sticky. The sun felt like it was boring a hole through my skin. We got into his car. The air conditioner was on, but offered little relief. He handed me a bottle of water, and I drank it greedily. We drove towards his house, not far from the airport, reminiscing along the way. AC blasted, yet the air was heavy. An open-plan kitchen and a sparse living room with 2 chairs. He said he kept the place dark to block out the heat. Too tired to question it, I said. There was an odor. Acrid, slightly sweet. I ignored it. He poured us water. I drank. Cool and bitter. I assumed it was just a local taste. Then he spoke, quietly, that same eerie manner. His mouth again out of sync. "My old friend," he whispered. "I'm sure you're wondering why I called you." I nodded. "I need your help." His eyes were dead, unblinking like a blind man staring ahead. "Of course," I replied. "I'll help however I can." "I knew I could trust you," he said. "I've lived here many years. I've wandered the great desert, and in it, I found something." His mouth hung open mid-sentence, agape like he was in the throes of some silent seizure, then resumed. "An ancient tomb, a mummy unlike any heard of." He stopped, then his jaw dropped, unhinged, grotesquely, dangling near his chest. His eyes rolled back. I froze. I turned to run, but a cold, clammy hand gripped my arm. Paralyzed, not from fear, but as if struck numb, I stood. The hand turned me around. It stood before me. Eyes. No. Hollow pits where I should be. Its face twisted in the agony of rot, stretched in eternal pain. A corpse still alive in death. It raised his right hand. I could not move. My limbs betrayed me. Its fingers pried my mouth open. I tried to resist, but couldn't. It seized my tongue and tore. Pain exploded through me. Blood flowed from my mouth, pouring down my chin. Then, God help me, a bulge moved in his arm near the elbow, something alive. It wriggled under the skin until it tore through. A pale, red worm the size of an apple. Yellow eyes, head covered in needle-long spines. It slithered towards my face. I could do nothing. It forced itself into my mouth, and I gagged, choked, but pressed forward. I felt it anchor itself into the raw stump of my tongue. The pain was blinding. Then a voice, not mine, but in my voice, echoed in a language I didn't know. My friend, if that's what he still was, understood it, and then agony. The creature's spines drove through my throat and into my spine. I passed out. I awoke not long ago. I don't know how much time has passed. I can no longer speak, and if you hear my voice, it's not me, but it's the parasite. My tongue is no longer mine. Soon, neither will my body be. I will become what he is. author says that that was their first horror story that they've ever written. If that's in fact the case, I feel like that they should definitely continue. That was good. They did a really good job. It was short, but it was also a little bit of world building. Said everything could be like vividly imagined. Even like the not so cozy parts. Normally we read like sci-fi or, just fiction, fantasy, stuff like that. But I always skip through the horror ones because I feel like it's not really going to be, appropriate for what I want to do with the channel. But I do love horror stories, so I feel like there should be a stream where that's what we focus on. All the horror stories that we've just scrolled past. I thought it was going to be a relaxing story until the man started. Yeah, most of these there's been some that are cozy, but it's actually kind of hard to find cozy stories. Even like in the subreddit, if you type cozy or stuff like that, it most of the time you're gonna get something that's not that, which is fine. That's fair. But normally, pretty well written here, at least. And maybe that's because I'm going by like, top voted ones and stuff. But also something I've learned with launching this channel, finding cozy ASMR scripts. They exist, but not quite what I'm looking for most of the time. There's a lot of spicy ones out there, especially on Reddit. But the ones that we have uploaded in the Ko-Fi have been pretty nice. Like even the ones that are like guessies and stuff. I think the last one I did for the members only was called Coffee Kisses, and it was actually pretty cozy though. It was like cute, you know what I mean? It wasn't like an overly spicy thing, and it wasn't coming from that from those feelings. That's not what it was about. It was about like making a cozy, cute, sweet atmosphere. I liked it. It was nice. It was like probably the most risque thing that I would do. But even then, it was still tame. I like that. I don't know if it'll work, because sometimes it just doesn't. Yeah. But there's some free stuff on my Ko-Fi. I don't know. Maybe I need to reconnect the Nightbot. Okay, you can find it there if you have any interest. No need to check it out, but once a month I do upload, or will be uploading. I already just have one that's free, but there will be stuff on there, and also it's going to YouTube. But if it's something that you want to download for some reason, if it really hits you, and I've figured out a better way to do ASMR since that first upload, where it gets like where it hits a little bit better, like it's the higher gain, like what we have now. Anyway, enough about that. On to the stories. Let's find another horror one. The Museum of Lost Things. Let's see. Okay, this is not incredibly long. It's a little longer than I would normally do, but it's fine. Okay. Let's go. Let's get it. Let's do them stories. There's a lot in this world that has its rightful place. Either that be a silver spoon in his collection tray, a doll comfortably sat on a chair in a child's room, or even a loyal companion that awaits your return home. Things do have a place to belong. And yet some things do not belong anywhere anymore, to never return. Or so they should. Marie wandered the streets of her childhood town. was, however, a melancholic trip, as her return was to visit her parents' grave. They have been missing for more than 5 years now, and she could not bear the thought of letting them go in her mind. Every year on the same day, she would go and visit her hometown to pay her respects and cry away her sorrow. The cemetery was quiet, with only a few more townspeople visiting their own relatives. Marie had in her hands a bouquet of beautiful lilies, the favorite flower of her mother, as it was the gift that she had received on her first date with her husband. The tears in her eyes, she knelt to the grave and laid the flowers into a small vase that rested at the bottom of the tombstone. "I miss you so much," she muttered, sniffling between tears. "I'm sorry I never spent enough time with you, despite everything. The arguments, the fits of rage, the silences. You're still my parents, and I loved you." She let herself go, bawling over the grave. And after a long morning, Marie stood up, cleaned her tears, and went back on her way. The streets of the town were bustling with people that were going by to their days. The street vendors offering fresh fruits, trinkets, and old books of any sort and genre in their stands. The girl walked by everything as if in a trance for the memories of her lost loved ones. As she wandered aimlessly, she found herself in a never-before-seen alley, damp and shaded. Looking up, she saw the curious insignia of a locale. "What is this place? I've never been here in all my life," she murmured to herself. The sign was old, hand-carved in wood and refined with tinges of gold and red. The sign read, "The Lost and Found Exhibit." Marie eyed the place with a wary curiosity. There was something odd about the shop. It looked old, too old to have just appeared. It couldn't have been built recently. It was far too shabby. The crumbling facade looked like it had stood there forever, hiding in plain sight. She stepped closer to the arched doorway, trying for a peek of the inside by the tiny windows built at the side of the door, but the glass was too dusty from the inside to let anything come through. Drawn by curiosity, she clutched firmly the door handle. It felt warm and soothing at the touch as she pressed it down and pushed to enter the premises. Pushing the heavy ebony door, the soft jingle of a bell welcomed to her. The air hung thick in a curtain of dust, visible in shafts of yellow chandelier light. The room was adorned with stands and exposition cabinets, each one of them holding trinkets and uncanny items of all sorts, most of them encased behind a glass dome. "Welcome, my dear." Her hoarse voice came from her side. Marie turned to the side of an old hunchback woman sitting behind a counter with a ledger and pen in hand. Her face was heavy in wrinkles and molds, with only a few strands of white hairs covering her scalp. "Are you here for the exhibit, darling?" the old woman asked, leaning towards the girl. Marie darted her eyes around, unsure of what to do. Sure, but what exhibit is it?" Every instinct told her to turn back. The air clung to her skin like cobwebs, and the door groaned shut behind her with a finality that made her stomach twist. "It's a very beautiful exhibit, darling," the old woman crooned. "And here we showcase the mundane things that once had a home of their own, and now they don't." as our own and give them a place to rest comfortably forever. She chuckled, the sound brittle and dry, followed by a deep rattling cough that shook her frail frame. It sounded painful, yet she didn't seem to be bothered. Her chuckle continued, soft and wheezing. She turned the ledger open to Marie, handing over the fountain pen. "Would you like to see it?" she asked, her toothless smile wide and expectant. Marie instinctively picked the pen up from the crone's hand. Her skin felt cold and coarse, barely clinging to her bones. "How much does it cost? Do I have to sign my name here?" The crone gently laid the book on the counter. Marie leaned in. Many names filled the yellowed pages, most unfamiliar, until she noticed a few that froze her in place. The old barber, the flower shop attendant, her middle school best friend, her parents' names. Marie rolled back, blinking into the uncanny sight. That couldn't be right. "Oh, what's the matter, dear?" the old woman asked with a smile. Marie looked down again, and the names were gone. The air felt heavier. She shook her head, hesitant in signing the ledger, and yet with shaking hands, she pushed the fountain pen over the yellow paper. She signed. "Thank you kindly, darling," the crone said, plucking the pen from her fingers. Her grip was unexpectedly strong, firm and unyielding, as though her frailty had been a lie. "And do not worry about the payment of the entrance fee now," she added with a smile. "We can discuss it later." With cracking joints, the crone extended her crooked arm, pointing at the dark interior of the locale. "Please do enjoy your visit at the exhibit." Marie followed the pointed path, hesitation in her steps. She walked the silent aisles of the museum, gazing upon the curiosities that lay on the pedestals. It was a most curious sight to behold. It wasn't anything like modern art or abstract painting made with splashes of odd mixtures. Just trinkets, old and new, things that no longer belong to anyone. Old kids' shoes, lockets with tattered pictures inside, house keys with faded tags. Items most common, curiously displayed under glass domes. Marie loosened her tense muscles. After all, it appeared to just be an exhibition of random junk. She kept walking through the halls for a while, eventually setting a sign on the wall that pointed to a direction. "Loss of love," she read out loud. Looking at the archway entrance to the new part of the exhibit, she felt a tear coming to her eyes reading those words. Her chest feeling heavy, heart pounding, breath missing. The hall that followed the was grandiose and eerie. The sides of it spanned far and wide with displays of considerable weight and stature. There were broken down cars, bookshelves with ancient scrolls, aquariums with murky black waters, fishes floating atop the water. And then it struck her. How can this place be so big? Marie took her next steps with caution, the air heavy and thick, making it hard to breathe. And then she looked up to something macabre. A dog, under one of the domes. It walked rounds happily, barks muffled by the glass. Oh my God, that is cruel. Who would do such a thing? She yelped as she crouched down to the caged creature, a Boston Terrier, its black and white coat matted and dull beneath the glass, a name tag hanging to its neck. Cody. Something familiar ringed in Marie's memory. I know you. Her eyes widened to the realization. In her childhood, Marie's middle school best friend had a pet to which she was very affectionate to. Both played with joy with the smallest creature that yapped and rolled in the dirt and grass, smiling at them. But one day, Marie's best friend came to her, tears in her eyes. Her pet was gone for days, seeming to never return to her beloved owner. What in the world are you doing here? You should be... The thud of the cane beating the wooden flooring interrupted her train of thoughts. Should be what, darling? The old woman approached her. Marie scrambled her last words, unable to finish the sentence. I see you are well deep inside the exhibit, the woman croaked. Let's keep going. There's so much more to see. From here on, let me guide you. Her voice oddly imposing, giving the girl no choice but to follow her. The two wandered through the unnaturally large hall, silence broken by the tapping of the old woman's cane on the floor. How are you enjoying the tour, darling? She asked. Marie jolted to the question, biting her lips. She expected anything but that in this now macabre place. Look. With her cane, the woman pointed to a rather large piece of the exposition. This is one of my favorites. Marie's eyes widened in horror. Her breath caught. Cold sweats pooled in her palms. Under the dome, a man, and one that she recognized all too well. He was sitting in a wooden chair, hands to his face, cradling back and forth in the same repetitive motion. In front of him, a stool where a pistol took place. She stepped back in fear. She could not bear that sight. The crone mused, her grin curling. This one always hits a nerve. The crone said with a hint of mockery in her words. The man muttered to himself, bawling and sighing deeply. I loved her. I loved her. I loved her. I'm nothing to her, but she is everything. She means so much to me. I cannot live like this. I cannot live like this. The crone chuckled. Here comes the best part. Marie clutched her mouth, heart thudding so loud it drowned the thought. Not again. Not here. In a single, swift motion, the man screamed in anger, taking the pistol into his mouth. Bang. Blood splattered inside the dome, painting the glass in scarlet drops that trickled down the walls. Marie's ears rang, not from the shot, but for the flood of memories it unleashed. She remembered that man that she had once loved, but that she could not bring herself to love anymore. The sirens of the ambulance, the coroner's white neon lights. Something came to your mind, dear? The old lady acted as if the tragic display wasn't even there. You seem pale. Have you perhaps seen a ghost? Marie rushed away with a scream, what she had just witnessed. She ran towards the exit, scrambling through the pedestals, groping the walls to find her footing again. She ran for what seemed like eternity. She could not have wandered this much. She could not have. The hall seemed repeating and never-ending, their sizes shifting and turning into spaces impossible to conceive. As she stopped to regain her breath, the most tormenting sight met her eyes. The one display that brought Marie to her breaking point. On the pedestal, monumental and frightening, stood a car, motion mimicked by the turning wheels. From the windows, a shadow play could be seen, 3 people chattering and arguing over the menial matters. The shadow in the back seat seemed to raise its voice over it, at which the one in the driver's seat answered with a violent slap to the face. The shadow in the front passenger seat tries to calm them both down, but in a swift moment, the shadow in the back clutched the steering wheel and twisted sharply. A screeching sound of wheels, metal folding and clattering, the smell of smoke and gasoline. One of the shadows manages to crawl out of the car, standing still, observing the flames engulfing the machine. Marie fell to her knees. She could not bear it anymore. She didn't want to. Please make it stop. Please make it stop. Guilt and sorrow filled her heart. She had found what she paid. She had found what she prayed she buried for good. I see that you have found our masterpiece. The voice of the crone echoed in the room, yet nowhere to be seen. The tapping of the cane approached from the dark halls beyond. Come, we still have one last piece to show. Marie looked around in search of the old woman, but what she found was just another signpost, hanging loose at the side of a door. Loss of self. Her mind was numbed by the recent visions. She was only going forward by a will to live. She had to go. Standing up, she walked towards the door, the tapping of the cane getting closer and closer as if the crone was standing right behind her. Marie clutched the door handle, and with eyes closed, she pushed herself inside. The door closed behind her with no sound or echo. It absorbed into the room, like sound itself was lost too. Marie opened her eyes. Mirrors, endless, seamless, spotless mirrors. There were no floors, ceilings, or walls, just reflections of her all around. She couldn't distinguish what was glass and what was her actual self. Her own face stared back at her from thousands of angles, each one slightly off. Some smiled when she didn't. Some others just blinked. Many turned their backs and walked away in an endless white void. The cacophony of visions made her head spin, her sight blurring and melting with the infinity of herself. This is the end of our tour, darling, the crone's voice echoed. Marie spun around, her reflections mirroring her movements in a distorted dance. One version had blood in her hands, another wept uncontrollably. The voice was not coming from the room itself. It was in Marie's head. I hope your stay has been as enjoyable as it was for me, the old lady continued, the tapping of the cane echoing inside Marie. No more grief, no more guilt, no more pain. Marie much. You have seen what you needed to see. Your entry fee paid, the woman mocked. But say, would you like to stay? Maybe for a while more. Stop here with us. We know how much sorrow and anguish memories can bring. We can take good care of them for you. As Marie looked down, one of her reflections reached out to her, piercing an invisible veil between them. Reality rippled like disturbed water, soft and slow, as their touch met. Who am I? She muttered. No one, the voice droned. And that's okay. Marie felt her body light, cradled in the white void she was fluctuating into. She slowly closed her eyes, letting go. Darkness engulfed her. Nothingness followed. Some things are meant to be lost, and many more they are found in the museum. There in one of the halls, under a glass dome, a gentle woman stood, cradling in her arms a bouquet of lilies, tears trickling down her sorrowful eyes. That was nice. I mean, that was, a little rough, but I liked it. I think it was another in a series of well-written stories. I think we've lucked out pretty well with our selection tonight so far. Should we do one more? Or are we all sleepy? I don't know. Always down for more? Okay. Then we will do one more. And then I gotta let my arms rest. It's not that the mic's heavy, right? It's just keeping it in that weird position. And they want to get locked up. It happened last night. I didn't move my arm for an hour, forgetting that, that's kind of a crucial part of existence. You need to move. The human body was meant to move. Okay, let's find one more horror. Oh, this sounds interesting. It's a romance horror story. And it's a very short one. Okay. This will be our last story. Oh dear. Yeah, that does sound bad, doesn't it? I didn't think about it. But here we are. It might not be bad. I do like to to like cold read the stories so we all get the same experience. So it's exciting for me too, you know what I mean? There was one that we read a couple of days ago, or a few streams ago, that stuck with me. It was like phrased kind of like a begrudging open relationship, or like closed poly is kind of what it seemed like, but the two girls didn't get along. And the twist at the end was that it was alcohol, because Jenny was like the girl's name, Genevieve, something like that. But so like you're like, oh, this just sounds like a really messed up relationship on all accounts. And you felt bad for the wife, bad for the guy, and even bad for like the person that was kind of portrayed as good and bad, but like a free spirit kind of, you know what I mean? It hit all the fills. You're like, this is just sad on all accounts. And then at the end, you find out Jenny was short for Jen, and he was an alcoholic, and that was tearing his relationship with his wife apart. I was like, oh man, it was actually really impactful. It was really good writing. Anyway, I'm gonna mute because I have to sneeze. Ooh, that would have blown your ears out. Anyway, this one's titled Symphony in Crimson, a love letter in minor key. Thank you very much. Thank you. They said love would save me. I think they believed it too. The people who whisper those kinds of things usually mean well, but they don't know what it's like to love someone the way I did. To love like hunger, like music stuck in your teeth. It started quietly. It always does. The way his hand brushed mine that first time, like it wasn't on purpose, but he didn't exactly pull away either. He moved like something out of a slow song. Careful, gentle, like the world might shatter if he was too loud. I watched him when he didn't know I was watching. The way he bit his lip when reading, the way he talked to his dog like it was a person. Oh, he'd fidget with his sleeve cuffs whenever he was nervous, little things that felt like secret code, like I was solving him piece by piece. And God, his voice, deep, warm, little scratchy in the mornings. I could have lived in that sound. He laughed once when I tripped over nothing in the kitchen, but not to mock me, just that surprised, joyful laugh people have when something's sweeter than they expected. I replayed that laugh so many times, I started to sound like music. We danced in the kitchen that night. Barefoot, a little drunk. His hand at the small of my back, pulling me closer like I was something he'd dreamed into being. I told him I loved him. And I meant it. I really did. That's what makes it beautiful. They think I do it for control or some twisted revenge fantasy, but no, I do it because I want to keep them. All of them. Not in photos or in some fading memory, but in a moment. In the last moment his chest where I knew his heart was. And told him how beautiful he was. How I'd never felt anything like that before. And I meant every single word. Then I did what I always do. He didn't make a sound at first, just a soft exhale, like he'd forgotten how to breathe. His eyes met mine. I swear there was love in them. Even then. I held him. I always hold them. Until they stopped shaking. And after it was over, I cleaned everything up. Carefully. Like a ritual. I played his favorite record and lay beside him until the sun came up. It felt quiet. Full. I still remember the way his blood soaked through my favorite nightgown. I didn't throw it away. I couldn't. It smelled like him. Like cedar and sleep. People would call that sick, but to me, it was holy. He wasn't the first. And I don't say that proudly, it's just true. Elijah with the nervous smile. Vincent, who could never finish a sentence without second guessing himself. James, the one who said that he'd never met someone who really saw him. I saw them all. They live inside me. Not in some creepy way, but like echoes. Like fingerprints on glass. I can still feel their weight in my arms. I remember what their voices sounded like when they were scared or when they thought I was the safest place in the world. That was the part that no one understands. Now I'm here. Fluorescent lights buzzing. Cold air licking at my wrists, a tray of food in front of me. Rosemary chicken, mashed potatoes, some kind of pie I don't recognize. They let me pick my last meal as if it matters, as if I hadn't already had my fill. But I eat slowly, savoring it, because I have time. Not much, but enough. Enough to remember. Enough to taste the music still playing in my head. They say I'll be gone before midnight, but I'll still have them. Every man I ever loved. Every man who ever looked at me like I was something fragile and divine. I keep them all, like pressed flowers between the pages of my memory. I smile. Not because I'm cruel. I smile because I was loved. And because I loved back. The only way I knew how. Whew. What a one to end on. What a one to end on. Oh my. So, it was good and bad. It wasn't bad, but ooh. Right? Yes, that, what wonderful word choice. Awfully phenomenal. Agreed completely. Well, unfortunately for us, that is where tonight's stream is going to come We can wake up, have a good time, do our exercise, do our work, and I'll be here with you at 9 a.m. EST with coffee, like we normally are, but unfortunately without our normal sound, as, again, we are on vacation. We're on vacation, so our sound quality is suffering a little bit. Just a little bit. Thank you for the stream and for the A+ performance. Thank you for the raid, and thank you for actually hanging out, sticking around and talking. You seem like a wonderful person, and I hope to see you again. And thank you to Amy for the bits. Very sweet, very kind. Okay. Enjoy your nights, or time zones. Bye-bye.
Could I